What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wars in the Stars, episode number 95. It has been a while. We haven't done anything since Guardians of the Galaxy. There has been that stuff that's happened, like Cross the
Yeah,
Spider-Verse. The Flash comes out this weekend, I believe. That comes out.
today.
Already came out. Today came out. That is correct. Mixed stuff I've heard on it. Mixed stuff I've heard. But we'll see. I'm not going to see it, but we'll see.
I'm not.
I don't know.
I watched videos on it, and it was enough to make me say, "Yeah, no thanks."
I mean, spoilers, I guess. A cameo fest, kind of at the end of the film, but
Yeah, yeah.
the director, I could never pronounce his name right, and he's directing.
Andy Muschietti.
Yeah, he's directing the Brave and the what is it? The Bold and the Brave, the Brave and the Bold. What is it? The Batman film.
Yeah, I think the Bold and the Brave.
Yeah. His excuse for the CGI not looking so great was it's in the Flash's perspective. What does that even mean? Like, what does that even mean? That's not.
Yeah, and let's also not just like discount the fact that sure you can make that excuse when Barry's running or in the Speed Force, but there are many shots that I've seen from this movie where Barry is not in the frame whatsoever, and the shit looks like fucking PS2 graphics.
Yeah, it's just like Keaton. There's shots of Keaton's Batman that doesn't look good. Like Sasha Calle's Supergirl. It isn't like they bring Clooney back as Batman, right? At the end of the film,
Mm-hmm.
Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Yeah, you know what's funny is everybody makes fun of the CW for their CGI on the Flash TV show. You know what, CW? I take back any negative comment I've ever made about your CG. Because, yes, it can get worse. With even more money behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about this film. Across the Spider-Verse, I've heard great things about. Pretty big into the whole multiverse saga, I would say. It is kind of, even though it's adjacent to what we're doing in the MCU, it's still very important. It kind of explains some more things we've built upon in Doctor Strange.
It's crazy because I said this to you about Across the Spider-Verse. It's crazy that the MCU and their multiverse story is being carried by non-MCU stories.
Right. It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. It works.
Yeah, Spider-Verse. I mean, arguably, debatably, the Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies,
right?
Debatably, because they're made by Sony, not Marvel or not Disney. So
right. Oh, that's another thing we got to talk about. That's right.
I think we might be thinking about the same thing with Hulk.
That and also a Spider-Man thing. Sony announced 2 release dates for untitled Marvel projects, one in 2025 and one in 24. 24 is going to be
probably Venom 3. It's my thought.
Oh, that's fantastic. So thrilled. I love Tom Hardy.
25 will probably be...
And because it's July, it's a summer film. Yeah. And I think wasn't Far From Home and Homecoming was summer films, I believe.
I believe so.
No Way Home was originally going to be a summer film, but they moved it. So, yeah. But without further ado, how has your time off been from this? What have you graduated since? Correct?
I have. I've since torn my cap apart.
Okay.
I would show you my diploma, but it's over on a shelf right now.
Nice.
Where it'll likely be for the rest of my life. So
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't know where mine is.
I don't know why they don't send like a digital version, like on top of a physical. Give me a digital version. But yeah, apart from that, I've started a new job 2 days ago. I work at Crocs now.
Awesome.
I've never thought I'd say this. I actually enjoy going to work.
That's awesome.
It's one of those things, okay? If you every time you hear me say this on the show, I feel like I can feel every second go by. It's not a bad thing. And I work pretty long shifts. I work about like 6-7 hours long shifts. Like today I work 2 to 8, and then tomorrow I work 10 to 4. So I'm not working short shifts, but I absolutely love it. So
Yeah, that's great, man. Since we did our last podcast, I don't think I've talked about it much on this podcast. I'm interested in going into optometry, being some sort of an eye doctor. Um, Also looking at maybe being an MD being a medical doctor that does things like cataract surgery. So that's a whole side tangent. But anyways, I'm getting experience in the field. I'm working as a technician right now. I do been working with patients. The doctor I work with at Mondays and Wednesdays, he's fantastic, and he's actually brought me along the way and shown me a lot of stuff. And it's been really good. I work, I think Mondays and Wednesdays. I have my first patient at 8, and I usually get done. My last patient's at 3. Um, Busy days, but really fun and really good experience for me. So
good.
it's been fun. And then I've been coaching baseball. My high school season just got done, or not my high school, my coaching. My first high school season just got done, and then coaching. I'm now the head coach. Me and my dad actually are coaching a summer ball team. So for the high school I went to, so that's been really fun. But yeah, we just got started with that. So yeah, it's been an interesting time, been busy. But without further ado, let's get right into this. Do we want to start with Secret Invasion? We should, right?
I feel like we should, but I feel like there's so much to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about. Do we just want to get Secret Invasion out of the way? Because I honestly, out of everything, I don't have a lot to say about this.
I feel like I don't either, so I kind of feel like it's going to be a bit of like a speed run of questions. And I'm not going to lie, these are low-key recycled questions from past previews.
Right.
So,
and honestly, we could just like we can do questions and have just like a freelance like
yeah,
discussion.
honestly, I'm not really in the mood for questions. Let's just talk Invasion.
I'm going to be honest.
I'll start
go
us
ahead.
off. I'll start us off with a question though.
Okay.
Dude, I got to be honest with you, okay? I forgot about Secret Invasion.
I did too.
I low-key forgot. I thought it got delayed a year, and it didn't. So I honestly I don't know what I'm expecting from this series. What are you expecting to see from it?
I was just thinking about what I was going to say before. Secret Invasion in the comics is one of the, if not the biggest comic storyline. It's one of for sure. One of like
Sure.
one of
Yeah.
one of the best, even, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a massive Avengers scale story, right?
Yeah.
And we are doing that in an episodic Disney Plus show that's 6 episodes that does not feature any big Avengers. It features obviously
Fury.
Don Cheadle and Nick Fury.
Yeah. Maria Hill.
I mean, those are Agents of Shields. Nick Fury did start the Avengers, but anyways, they're not the big guys, right? But there are no real Avengers right now. So like I guess they are.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is like, how are you going to make that story interesting for avid comic fans that want this to be a very upscale thing? You obviously built the Skrulls up in Captain Marvel, right? And you presented the Skrulls as being good guys, right?
Yeah.
So, oh my God. Oh, the Kree, you presented the Kree as, bad, that the Skrull Kree war. We got that whole narrative.
Yeah.
We know from leaks and stuff that we're going to have some evil Skrulls.
Mm.
But how are we going to do that for the audience? How are we going to do that? Because we haven't even gotten a lot of time with the Skrulls themselves, right? We just know a little bit about them. We only know a little bit about really one, Talos. So I'm just really curious at how they're going to craft this. And I have seen that the first 2 episodes, I don't know if you've seen this, episodes 1's like 55 minutes, episode 2's 52 minutes.
Yeah, they're
I
long.
I I like the length, but I'm curious to see how this fits because this feels so out of place for the multiversal saga. This
Mm,
feels like it needs to be its own, like, thing because
yeah.
it was in the comics.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think for me, I think I was with a lot of people who were a little puzzled by the fact that Secret Invasion was only a 6 episode Disney Plus show. Um, and it kind of it is at a weird spot too. It's at a really weird spot. Phase 5 has been laid out really weird. I don't know if you're feeling that, but I am. Phase 5 is just all over the place. We're going from meeting the big bad of the saga
Hmm.
to dancing in space to finding out that potentially half or even more of our Earth's mightiest heroes aren't even the real people.
Right.
So it's just kind of like I feel like Phase 5 is a little all over the place, right? I think it's a tad bit of all over, but yeah, I mean I don't know. I'm intrigued for what it looks. I'm excited. I think it's definitely giving the Winter Soldier vibes. I think that's a thing that they've needed to go back to is that kind of spy thriller. And so I'm happy to go back to that. I wonder. I wonder where the story like once Secret Invasion is over, where do we go after? Because you got to think this is not something that's going to get solved in one show.
Mhm.
This is going to be a larger threat.
Hmm.
Because could you imagine? Could you imagine? You remember all those fans after Tony Stark died, where they were like, "Bring Tony Stark back." Could you imagine Marvel brings back Tony Stark, and we just say, "Oh, the Tony that died in Endgame was a scroll."
That would be terrible.
I think my balls would shrivel up back into my stomach, and I'd go back in time. I'd reverse back into a fetus. I'd go back into my mom's stomach, back and then back into my father's testicles. I don't think I would actually be able to cope with that. But like that's what I'm saying though. This show, it's one of those things that for me, it's like you said, this is a massive event. There's no big players. Let's be real, okay? We all love Samuel L. Jackson. We all love Don Cheadle. But you got there. Let's be real. They're in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. They are definitely in that D plus C minus level character category.
Right. Absolutely. I don't think anybody would disagree with you.
There's not much depth to them. There's not much excitement to them. Kind of my problem with the thing that I have is every time we see Nick Fury in the MCU now, I always get the impression, I always get the thing, oh yeah, Nick Fury's in the MCU. And then every time I see like Rhodey, I'm always just like, oh yeah, Rhodey's in the MCU too.
The last time Nick Fury played like a really kind of like monumental role was what, Age of Ultron?
Um, yeah, debating if you want to count Talos posing as Nick Fury in Far From Home.
And then Captain Marvel, well, Captain Marvel too.
Yeah.
But Captain Marvel technically takes place before anything in the timeline besides
Yeah.
the first Avenger. So like
Mm.
the last time, like timeline wise, the
Yeah.
actual Nick Fury, and we don't even know
We don't even know if that was him. We know we
which
I think the only time that we can know it's actually Fury is Captain Marvel in the first Avengers movie.
which my thing is I don't want them to go too crazy with it,
Mm.
right? Where just like everyone's a scroll or like they just do some crazy shit where like half of our heroes are actually scrolls. I'm just gonna be like, that's
Yeah.
dumb. It's got to be a balance. It's got to be like
Mm.
people we meet in the story that like, oh, they're working. Is it still Shield at this point, or what is it now? Is it Sword? What is it?
Sword, yeah, Sword.
People working for Sword and working for Fury are actually scrolls. Like
Yeah,
um oh, what's the guy? He plays the agent in Black Panther. He's in it. Agent Ross.
yeah, Agent Ross.
Agent Ross, right?
Mm.
Could he be a scroll, right? We see that first scene with him talking to the other agent that they released, that 5-minute scene that they showed. Could
Yep.
he be a scroll? Right? What's going on there? I don't want them to go like and show us a random like hero and be like, yeah, he's a scroll. I don't want that to happen. Kevin
Mm.
Feige said this show at the end will have massive ramifications, but really, what does that mean? Especially if the whole
Mm.
build up to this saga is a multiversal saga. What do the scrolls have to do with this? It's just my thing.
Yeah.
Like
My
we were
thing.
saying, it's just so
Yeah.
oddly placed.
My thing is, I definitely feel like this should have been an Infinity Saga story or a post multiversal saga.
Mm-hmm.
Because my thing is, we were kind of talking about this not too long ago. Is let's be real. Let's finish Phase 6 out, right? Let's get to Secret Wars. What is
Right.
next for the MCU? Presumably Doctor Doom.
Well, it's got
I
to be the
think
X-Men, right?
yeah, it's got to be the X-Men and Doom and the Fantastic Four and all that. And then presumably the big final big guy of the MCU is going to be Galactus. But then what? My thing with this is Secret Invasion. If you look at it in its history in the comics of like when it came out, it was the perfect time. It was at this. It was, in my opinion, at this weird lull point where the Avengers just kind of weren't doing much,
Right.
and so they needed something to bring everybody back together. My thing right now is we've just met Kang the Conqueror 2 projects beforehand. We just met him. And we didn't just meet one Kang. We met a load, like millions of Kangs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Uh, tell me, tell me, I'm getting some bad deja vu here, but it kind of feels like the MCU is. It feels like the MCU is a cat chasing its tail, but the tail is like 1 inch long. Like it's never gonna be able to catch up to itself. And I'm genuinely afraid of Secret War and Kang Dynasty feeling out of place or feeling not built up enough. Because my problem right now is because let's remember Kevin Feige said huge ramifications from the show. My thing is this: is the Avengers basically already don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They are the most B team level heroes keeping that
Mm-hmm.
faction alive. I think I'm at the point right now where this show the ramifications need to be huge, but the ramifications need to be believable ramifications.
Right.
Because in my opinion, I think it's super cheap to go the route of, oh, half the Avengers were Skrulls, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that would be more interesting is specific Avengers were Skrulls. You could say maybe Sam Wilson's a Skrull. Like that would be a huge twist. Like Captain of freaking America, the current one,
I
is
think
a
that
Skrull.
the thing with that is, I think with Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the way they're building him up, I
Mm.
think that would kind of undermine that whole story and that whole
Yeah,
his whole pivotal development. I feel like it would just be like a kind of a slap in the face to that.
yeah. Even then,
Bucky,
yeah, yeah. Kind of because he's not doing anything anymore. I don't know. I'm
Val,
kind of
Val.
Val. I think there are some people that I think we can all assume. I think the obvious ones that come to mind that are like I think they're scrolls. I think Thaddeus Ross. I think Agent Ross. Val. I think
Like That you mean Thunderbolt Ross?
Thunderbolt Ross. Because
Hmm.
think about it like this, okay? Because look, I
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe they're gonna go the Rhodey route when they recasted Rhodey, and they're just nope, it just happened, no explanation needed, just a recast.
I think that's what they're doing.
And I think they might, or what they could do is they could do you know, I don't know, maybe they explain it through the scrolls. That's why he looks different. I don't know,
Another
but
interesting angle would be we haven't met the Kane of this universe, if there is one.
yeah,
What if? Because we already know in another universe he is a scroll.
mm,
I'm not saying Kane's a scroll, but what happens if Kane is using the scrolls to
mm,
infiltrate and affect our heroes so that way he can weaken them and then
yeah,
go after him? I feel like it's like another thing like Thanos did, like how Thanos used Loki, the Black Order, like everybody
yeah,
else,
yeah,
and then they were weak enough, and then he went after him. Something if you want to have this be
yeah,
lasted ramifications, right? Because when Feige says lasted ramifications to me, it just signals, oh, the story will continue in Armor Wars. Like
yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, my thing though, the other problem that I have with this show, Phase 4 has clearly been building up to the Young Avengers. Well, one of the Young Avengers is a scroll,
Hmm.
and kind of his big story arc is that he's a Kree and a scroll,
Hmm.
and that he unites the Kree and the scroll and the scrolls as their new king. So that's what I'm saying though. Lasting ramifications need to be big. Like something that, in my
The
opinion, if
the introduction of Hulken would be big.
yeah, Hulkling is literally okay. Oh, why is the MCU like this? The problem is
By
okay.
the way, Hulkling will be 32 because Kate Bishop's already
Again,
27.
they're the not as old Avengers.
They're the
That
younger Avengers.
they're the semi younger Avengers.
Yeah.
But no, I think my problem is with this story. There's too many opportunities for the MCU just to completely override the validity of the story. Oh, the humans in the scrolls are at war. Well, in comes Hulkling, and that's going to be a bit of a problem.
Right.
Oh, our hero, half the heroes are scrolls. Okay, so that means like Phase 4 was like so not important anymore because half of them weren't the real people.
Right. That would be so stupid. I would be mad. I would literally be
Yeah,
mad.
yeah. The problem is again Secret Invasion. It's a good series. It's a good series at a really bad time. I look at it like this. Okay, my best comparison that I'm thinking Secret Invasion is likely gonna sounding like it's gonna be is what Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was to the Call of Duty franchise. It was a good game at the wrong time when the because to give a quick little indication of that, kind of I'd say what the MCU fans are wanting right now is we want more connectivity and we want stories to actually mean something.
Hmm.
And if this story is going to completely undo a bunch of series that we've just watched and movies we've just watched, kind of like too late for all, like too early. Because then you've just told us, hey guys, remember all that great watching you guys have done for the last 2 years, from WandaVision all the way to Wakanda Forever? Half those projects don't mean anything anymore.
Right.
That is almost essentially what happened with Black Ops 3, because Black Ops 3, to make a long story short, Black Ops 3 was a movement game that people didn't want at that time. They wanted it they wanted it years after it came out because it wasn't what people wanted. And I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want to be told the last 2 years of me watching, half of it's wasted now.
Right.
So that's my big worry for the series, honestly, is I'm worried that the series is just doomed to fail.
Hmm.
Doomed to
Right.
fail. There's it's a very delicate series that either one, the ramifications are going to be more not even MCU affecting, it's going to be fan affecting,
Right.
or the ramifications are going to be so little the series was pointless.
Right.
They're at they're at a really weird spot. And Kevin Feige is one bold man for making this the third project of this phase.
Yeah,
Bold.
I will say I to go back to a point you made earlier, I'm excited to go back to Winter Soldier vibes. I think
Yes.
Winter Soldier what makes it so good and why I like those type of superhero stories. It's just grounded. It's simplistic. It's not
Yeah.
overly complicated. It's more believable. It's not fantastical. Those
Mm.
type of superhero stories I always like First Avenger,
Yeah.
even the Batman's kind of grounded, right?
Yeah.
Those type of stories I like. There's a little bit of um fantasy or not fantasy, but stuff that's otherworldly that we wouldn't see, but it's
Yeah.
believable
Yeah.
enough. It's
Hyper
believable
realistic.
enough.
Yeah. Hyper
Yeah, it's
realistic.
hyper realistic. Yeah, it's believable enough, right?
Mm.
And I just wanted to go back to that a spy type of story where again we have the fantastical element, the science fiction element of scrolls that are
Yeah.
alien adjacent, right? But also keeping it grounded with the spy espionage type of deal, figure out who is and who isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, it's something that Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't do great, but they kind of set up the ramifications of the blip, right? With I can't remember what they were called.
The
The
GRC.
the GRC, right? Just dealing with those political figures, because that's always interesting me about the
Mm.
MCU. How does like the politics work when you have superheroes? It's something the
Yeah.
boys does really well. Like the boys, it's like directly in your face, like what it's
Yeah.
like.
Even that's even what they even market it in real life. Like one of the chicks the chick who plays Ashley,
Right,
like she's posting videos in character, and it makes the world feel real.
right.
And
That's
and
what I
I,
want to see in Secret Invasion.
and they've been and to Secret Invasion's credit, they've been doing that. They've
Right,
they've ripped off the Batman and have been doing these cool online teasers.
right,
Like it makes it feel real,
right,
and that's kind of the thing with a series like this that you want. You you as the viewer, you need to be pulled in to tell you why you should believe this. You shouldn't have to turn off your brain and be like, okay, I'm going to mindlessly believe what's on my screen.
right,
I should feel I should feel it's real. And
right.
that's something I feel Winter Soldier did really well is it made me feel like the story was real.
Hmm.
And that's what I need this show to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Yeah, I mean, I don't got much else to say. I'm excited. I know it's going to tie into the Marvels Armor Wars, but if we're going to go last in ramifications, I need a Kane connection. I just need that. I need some
Yeah.
type of multiversal connection. That the scrolls, it's not just the fact that the scrolls, like there's this evil branch of scrolls that have invaded the earth.
Yeah.
I need it to be like they were sent.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how we weren't even fans, and we were. I mean, when the first Avengers movie came out, I was like 9 or 10. Like when Thanos was revealed as a post-credit scene with Loki. I need that like level of thing. If you're gonna talk about lasting ramifications.
Yeah, I need this show. Like, kind of my thing when I talk about Phase 4 is WandaVision, to its credit, is a show that you have to watch. That had lasting ramifications for Phase 4. You had to know how we got to Multiverse of Madness.
Right,
you had to know.
I don't mean to cut you off, but also, like, where is that now? That's just not.
Yeah. It's the MCU problem. It's one of those things, okay? Here's my
doing
thing,
too much. Way too much.
Here's my thing. And I think this is something we should segue to next. With the announcement of the 2 Star Wars movies in 2026.
Oh, we want to go there. Do we want to just talk about like how Marvel changed up their calendar, and we'll talk about both?
Yeah,
right?
But what I'm getting at with that to in a segue to that, kind of my thing is, do you remember how like in the last few years, like pre-Phase 4, how everybody just complimented the MCU to an ever dying last in like a never ending thing of how connected and how every story impacted the next and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are, where Star Wars is just infinitely better at connecting its stories.
Mm-hmm.
Infinitely better. Even stories that have nothing to do with each other. Like let me cook here for a sec, okay?
I'm letting you
Um,
cook.
it's isn't it crazy how Bad Batch, The Mandalorian, Andor, and by all counts, the sequel trilogy are all so connected, but take place in way different eras. You
Right.
have the you have the Bad Batch literally right after Revenge of the Sith,
Right.
Andor 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Mandalorian 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and you have the sequel trilogy 30 years after Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them feel so tightly connected. Like you
Right.
have to watch each other so you can get some more cluing into everything.
Right.
And now here we are, where the MCU can't make the first three projects of their next phase connect in any way.
Mm-hmm.
How did we get here?
It's so interesting because what made Marvel so successful, right, was the connectivity, as you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Feige being able to oversee everything. And we have to remember pre Infinity War and Endgame, I can't remember what year that they did 3 movies for the first time, but literally for the first 6, 7 years, it was just 2 movies a year.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, 21 or 22, they had 10 or 11 projects. I think it was by
Yeah.
23, we had 21 projects already. We're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a quality control problem, right? And
Yeah.
and we said it. Half of these, more than half actually, were like, why? Why? So now there were only a few, and you could tell there were only a few of the projects that really didn't matter to the story that were good. Moon Knight,
Yep.
Moon Knight was exceptional.
Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night was pretty damn good. Okay. Um. Besides that, what else was great? I mean, Loki. I know for a fact Feige was there a lot. Probably. You know why? Because that story mattered.
WandaVision.
WandaVision. I don't love it, but there's a clear quality difference.
Yeah. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Can you say Feige was there every day?
No.
No. Could you say he was there for what's it called? Why is it slipping my mind?
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
Miss Marvel. Hawkeye.
Yeah, kind of the problem that the MCU has. And this is my one pitch to fix the MCU. Stop focusing on 20 things at once. Just remember, we have the Skrull invasion, Kang, we have a multiverse crisis as a whole, the Young Avengers, we have
you're building up the street level stuff with Daredevil, Spider-Man.
The street level,
Cosmic.
The cosmic, we're the gods. We are building up. What's it called? I guess by proxy, I guess you can count kind of the Sony Spider Venomverse.
Right.
You're doing just again all of these things, and that's only 8 that come to mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's way more. There's way more.
Right.
And now, even now, I guess to kind of talk about the Incredible Hulk, the rights now being owned by Disney, and the idea that that Captain America: Brave New World was going to feature some Hulks. It's too much. I don't know which story I'm supposed to be focusing on. Am I supposed to be focusing on the multiverse, or am I supposed to be focusing on the Young Avengers, or am I supposed to be focusing on the cosmic, or am I supposed to be focusing on the gods?
What's so nice about the first saga is that it all connected. It was all connected around 6 stones.
Yes, that's it.
Literally.
Every story had something to do with the Infinity Stones.
Or if they didn't, it had something to do with the Avengers, Civil War.
Exactly. Or even then, what I'd say is if it didn't have to do something with the Infinity Stones, it had something massive for the MCU. Iron Man 1 didn't have anything to do with the Infinity Stones, but it introduced the universe. It introduced the world we're in.
Right.
Incredible Hulk brought us the Hulk. Like, it's
Right.
building up the team.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to Iron Man 2. Now we're seeing that, wow, you know, this universe is a little bit more advanced than our universe. Tony Stark is able to create a new element.
Right.
So obviously, there's going to be a higher form of power eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Because if some random genius is able to make, like, if some Elon Musk level genius is able just to create a new element out of his garage, like, what else does that say? And then, not to mention, it teases Thor at the end.
Right.
And then Thor comes out, and guess what? We get introduced to Thor, who then we then get introduced to Loki. Where do we see Loki next? The Avengers. Where does Loki dealing with 2 Infinity Stones? And who do we get introduced to? Thanos. What does Thanos want? Infinity Stones. Everything led to the next thing pretty seamlessly.
The next Thor movie deals with the Reality Stone. Then we meet our first cosmic team, the Guardians of the Galaxy, who deal with the Power Stone.
Yeah, and then
in the next Avengers film, we deal with Vision.
We deal with the Mind Stone. And then the only you can say what Ant-Man felt the most disconnected, but then what happens? Ant-Man is the key to solving the Infinity Stone crisis.
Mm-hmm. The quantum
so
realm,
it all comes full circle. Phase 4 and Phase 5, almost none of the projects lead into each other. There are some do. Loki, WandaVision, Doctor Strange, What If, all that. They feel connected. Spider-Man No Way Home. If you want to argue into and across the Spider-Verse as well, sure.
I'm fine with that.
But so the multiverse aspect of the multiverse saga feels great, but why is that less than half of Phase 4 and 5?
Right.
Because then what about Hawkeye, Daredevil, Born Again? What about all these other shows that are just these street-level heroes? Are you really going to try and convince me that the person who's going to kill Kang the Conqueror in Secret War is going to be Hawkeye? Come on now. Or better yet, it's going to be Kamala Khan. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine the reaction? It's not Captain America. It's not the Scarlet Witch. It's not Doctor Strange. It's not a redeemed Loki. It's not Thor. It's fucking Kamala Khan. I would lose it in the theater.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. The Kane we see in Ant-Man would probably lose to Kamala Khan.
I guess. All I'm saying is all the multiverse saga needs is some focus. It's got the direction. Focus on the direction.
I have a question.
Veering off. Yeah.
Would you be okay?
Okay.
If Marvel
went
back to, let's be generous, 3 movies a year?
No, I would want them to go back to 2 movies a year.
And then 3 big event series.
I think a perfect balance would be you start we say what, February, March, we get a movie. Then maybe a month.
Well, they like the May slot. May is their slot.
Well, I don't know, because Disney is trying really hard to push Star Wars back in that slot. But they're doing a really, really bad job at it because for some reason, Disney, hear me, do not push some random anthology film next to an Avengers movie. Stop that.
It's 3 weeks after Avengers: The Kane Dynasty. Do they think this is a good idea? Do they not? It's just
who's letting bro cook? Not a chef. Stop it.
I'm gonna go off. This company,
dude, I'm telling you, Disney is making some of the best decisions and also some of the most mind-bogglingly stupid decisions of all time.
We also have to remember they're going through a CEO problem. I mean, Iger's Iger's fine. But Iger really doesn't want to do the job.
Yeah.
Iger stepped down he didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Then Chapek was shit. Chapek was
Trash.
atrocious.
He's the reason the MCU is the way it is.
I would even argue Iger. Iger was a big proponent of this streaming service, and I think they just, I think that's a big problem. Iger does a good job with the parks, I would say, but
yes.
Besides that,
yeah. My thing is this, okay? Is listen, the MCU, it can't Loki and debatably to people, WandaVision and other shows, they prove the MCU can work as TV,
right?
But 9 out of 10 times it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
The MCU is best as movies, as digestible movies. Star Wars works better as TV. So Star Wars should be written more as TV.
Right.
Keep making movies, of course. But Star Wars works better in the TV format. Rebels, Clone Wars, The Mandalorian, in my opinion, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, all proof that Star Wars fits better in the TV slot. Because could you imagine, say, like Andor season 1 as a movie?
That would never work.
It would never work. You're covering too much in too little time.
By the way, $250 million for that show. That's crazy.
Crazy. Now, debatably, in all those shows I listed for Star Wars, Kenobi makes the most sense to be a movie. It was originally meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
But we've all been down that. In my perfect, honest opinion, okay, I think the MCU needs to take a break with this releasing 80 things a year. And we have seen it. That has been the best.
I think they are. Well, that's what they have done.
And what makes it even better, and this two things are a blessing in disguise for the MCU. Bob Iger's return to power and the writer's strike have been both huge blesses for the MCU. No matter what. Because what? Iger is forcing Kevin Feige to focus on the quality of the MCU now instead of just pumping content out.
We know they had a conversation about that.
And the writer's strike is now forcing Kevin Feige to stop production.
Mm-hmm.
So now what's able to happen? Now Kevin Feige has more time until the writer's strike is over to make better concepts, to potentially even look at rewriting some stuff he's working on now.
Right.
Maybe look at the current MCU slate and be like, we don't need that project, or maybe that can just like be a movie or something, or maybe that's not the story we want to tell anymore.
Right.
It's all blessings in disguises, right? That is how I see this. That is where I'm seeing this at, is that the MCU needed this. Mm-hmm. I think more than anything, the MCU needed this writer's strike, and I'm so happy it's happening. Number one, for the writers' sake, and number two, for just the MCU quality sake.
Absolutely.
And it makes me nervous that there are still studios being like, oh, we'll just push through it.
Yeah, that's it's an unhealthy thing. It's not a really good thing.
Yeah.
So we're getting obviously Secret Invasion here. We're obviously gonna get Loki in October, and then we'll get Echo released all at once. And then we'll have the Marvels, and then this is a perfect segue. Next year, I'm looking at it currently. We'll have Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
They keep talking, if you listen to reporters or insiders, I should say, scoopers, leakers, whatever you want to call them, it's going to be a monumental film. It's going to be very big for the multiversal saga. We're obviously dealing with the TVA, right?
Listen, I'll believe it when I see it. Okay, I've been burned too many times on that. It's important.
Are you doubting?
Listen, okay.
You already know it has Wolverine.
Listen, I was somebody who, I proudly, you know this, I proudly waved the "In Feige We Trust" banner.
Right. We
I
both
don't
did.
wave. I don't wave that banner anymore. My banner's on the
Really?
ground. My
Whoa.
banner.
I'm not
My
that far.
listen. Okay. You know what replaced it? In Filoni We Trust. That replaced it. Because let me run the odds with you, okay?
Okay.
What are the odds that Ahsoka is better than the next 4 MCU projects? So better than Secret Invasion. What are the odds that Ahsoka is better?
75%.
The Marvels.
85%. 90.
Echo.
97%.
What's after Echo?
Loki.
Loki season 2.
Th- that's a 50. That's a 50.
That's a 50-50. But we have to remember who's making Ahsoka? Dave Filoni. What is Dave Filoni at Lucasfilm? He's the head of creative there. So all I'm saying,
That's fair.
all I'm
That's
saying is
fair.
this. All I'm saying is this, okay? Marvel, Kevin Feige. We were all I think you'd remember this, 2021 specifically. We were all begging you to go over to Star Wars and bless them with your knowledge of how to run a
Right.
studio.
Whoa. You're going too far here now. If you're going over, I think.
Kathy Kelly, please go over to Marvel and help him run his studio.
What?
Because man's is look, Kevin Feige, he was the greatest chef at one point. He was cooking all them good meals. It was A plus after A plus. He's given me a lot of C minuses and D pluses. He gets the good A in there occasionally. He's like me during COVID year with my report card. Ew,
But let
skip
me
over that year.
let me be the angel on the shoulder. This was the reset year, right? Because he noticed what they were doing in Phase 4 was wrong. And again, the content we've gotten so far, Guardians is good, but then again, that's its own story.
And that's a James Gunn thing. That's not a
Ant-Man,
Kevin Feige thing.
Ant-Man, that
Ant-Man
happened.
fucking sucked. Listen.
This is the reset year. This is the reset year. Because hold up.
Okay.
Let's go over what they're releasing next year. Deadpool 3. Now, everything I've heard about Deadpool 3 is fantastic. Because here's the thing. There's a possibility, right? They wanted to bring in Magneto for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That didn't work. That might happen this time. Okay? I'm hearing some stuff that this is going to be kind of a big... This is, Secret Wars is going to be all of our favorite heroes all across. It's going to be a celebration of Marvel since the inception of comic book films. Deadpool 3 is going to be a segue for our X-Men characters to enter into that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, that's exciting to me. Captain America, Brave New World. Harrison Ford, Sam Wilson going to be the leader, presumably, of our new Avengers team.
Yeah.
Okay? He's cooking right. These are cooking. Thunderbolts. That's not cooking as much, but it's a continuation of the Brave New World storyline. The Hulks.
Yeah, listen.
The leader.
Listen. All I'm saying is this, okay?
Red Hulk.
All I'm saying is this, okay?
That's cooking.
In my opinion, okay.
That's only 3 movies, too.
I know people are really overreacting with the MCU saying the next thing the MCU makes is make or break for them. It's not. But the MCU, I'm telling you, what the MCU needs right now, they don't need one hit. They need consistently at least B plus or B grade like successes. At least.
Guardians was the start.
Guardians was, in my opinion, a good A minus. A good A minus. It was there. But Secret Invasion needs to be at least an 85. Has to be. Mm-hmm. It has to be. But the thing is, like we've said so far, the odds are really, really, really stacked against Secret Invasion. It takes one fuck up for Secret Invasion to be easily a Phase 5 ruiner. Mm-hmm. That's all it takes.
Right.
That's all it takes. That is why I'm saying the care that needed to go into Secret Invasion. This, in my opinion, Phase 5 is reliant on the success of Secret Invasion. Because if Secret Invasion,
I think that's a little premature, but
because that's what I'm. But that's my thing, though, is if you're gonna say that Secret Invasion is gonna have lasting ramifications, and it's ramifications that the fans don't like, you're gonna piss people off. I think the odds are severely against Secret Invasion, severely against them. They are. It is essentially they are asking to fail. But hey, Kevin Feige, he hasn't been cooking too consistently, but he did help cook something that was pretty fantastic. What was it, last month?
Right.
So I'm gonna have faith. I'm gonna have ignorant faith right now.
Can I say this?
Yes.
If he cooks with Secret Invasion, if he's very good, if Loki, as we presume it's going to be with Tom Hiddleston, is very good, and then Echo and the Marvels are a step up from what we saw with those characters in the past, and then we're going into a year where we have 3 really intriguing projects, we're going to be in a lot better place. But what I'm worried about is the end of the year not being good, because then again, you could say what you want. The Marvels, we've heard from test screenings and stuff, it might be sleepy good, but I don't really trust test screenings because I've been told since people saw The Flash that it's the greatest comic book movie of all time.
Them Flash test screeners were cooking. They were cooked some cocaine, and they ate it, and they were saying some wild stuff.
So I'm not sold.
Yeah.
On what other people think. So I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting year, but this to me was always the reset year. Next year is going to be the really, really big test for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm of the belief that the MCU needs to be successful. And if it's not, I don't see the point of continuing.
Right. Well, the thing I will say is I'm looking at it right now. Besides Loki, the thing I'm really concerned about, I'm not intrigued in any of these Disney Plus projects besides Daredevil.
They literally could not have picked the most uninteresting topics ever, bro.
I think you're going to like Agatha because from what we're hearing, it's going to be about the kids.
Yeah. Now that intrigues me, but not everybody likes that. So I'm a pass on that. I'm different on that. But even then, sounding like they fucking stopped production on the show, so I'll enjoy the show in 2 years.
Right. I don't know. Ironheart?
No.
Mephisto is going to be in it. But it's like Mephisto in human form.
See, who wants that? Why would I want Mephisto in human form when I could get Mephisto in Mephisto form?
And then to put Mephisto in Ironheart. But not
WandaVision, not Multiverse of Madness, not Loki, not anything.
Like,
that's what I'm saying, man. Where's Kevin, bro? Who's giving Kevin Feige these ingredients? They're giving him
Ironheart versus Mephisto. What?
They're giving this man. They're giving this man some top-notch sauce, and then they're giving him this freaking knockoff brand like pasta.
What is the team that is comprised of Blade, Strange,
the Midnight Suns?
Then they set up Mephisto for whenever that happens. That's another thing that they've been saying is going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah. Can't wait for the Midnight Suns in 2028.
Do we want to discuss? Because also I'm looking here. There are still 5 untitled Marvel projects, Marvel movies.
I don't know how there's this many untitled ones, man.
One's Arbor Wars. One's the Spider-Man. We know that's the summer one of 25.
One's likely Venom. Venom 3.
Well, no. This is just Marvel Studios. So.
Oh, okay.
Doctor Strange 3.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi 2. There's 4. Am I gonna say World War Hulk?
No, honestly, I think they'll probably make Hulk into a series.
World War Hulk into a series?
They're turning Secret Invasion into a
That
series.
is true.
Could you imagine an Avengers series? I'd I'd
I don't
cry
know how
so
that would
many
work.
I'd cry so many tears.
Think about 2025 though. Like they go, it's gonna go Fantastic Four in May, and then July you'll get Spider-Man.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
dope.
Listen. This is what I'm saying right now. This is what I'm saying right now, right here. All I'm saying, man, is I want to know what Disney's plan is going to be when Star Wars comes back to movies or comes back to the theater.
And that's a perfect segue.
Can't count. Three or three movies have gotten their dates moved around. Two in 2026. Not really, most likely. They're probably going to delay one of those movies.
3 movies in like 19 months.
Yep. If I'm a betting man, they're going to delay one of them.
The
Just
May
maybe.
one is so stupid. It is. I'm gonna go. Let me go off.
Listen,
The May
Star
one is so astronomically dumb. It is actually insane. If Avengers: The Kang Dynasty is anything near Infinity War, that movie will dominate. It would be almost a $2 billion film, and your film will suffer. It's just gonna happen because you're no longer the A-list brand in town, and you still think you are.
and
You're
and
not.
and not to mention, let's be real here. That 2026 film is probably going to be the Rey Jedi Order film.
Oh my god.
So, because they start filming next year. So, are you really going to try and put that movie up against the Kang Dynasty? Now, if it was the Mandalorian movie, there's a different conversation there.
Well, I'm hearing that it is.
No, what's it called? Many reliable sources have said that the Rey film starts filming next year, so that puts them in prime release for an early 2026 release.
I think that does make more sense. Dave's film, yeah.
Because they probably won't start filming the Mandoverse movie until after season 4 of Mando is out, and they don't start shooting until later on this year. So
yeah, we don't know about the writers. I mean, right now I think they're scheduled for November, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, but I mean, then again, The Mandalorian is also a show that is like largely written by Dave and John. So
well, I know season 4 is already written.
Yeah, John said that he finished writing it, but you got to think like Dave is gonna kind of be like, "Hey, that don't make sense," so change that.
Right. And then Mangold's film.
That'll probably be either late 26 or maybe 27. Yeah.
I don't know. It all depends. But anyways, 2 movies in a year, they can't do it.
And even then, let's say the Mangold movie is the December release.
Mm-hmm.
That is 2 completely tonally different movies you are trying to sell people in a year. One is about the Jedi Order, 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker. The other is what was it, 10,000 years before the Rise of Skywalker?
25,000. It's 25,000.
25,000 years. Like, people are gonna get confused.
It's like the start of the time. It's the start of the timeline. It's literally the first Jedi, the first Force users, I believe we'll see it. And
yeah.
They're still throwing out the idea that Taika's movie is still
and Taika's movie is still apparently lurking for that 2025 release date. So all I'm saying is this, okay? Star Wars.
Rian Johnson, that thing's.
I mean, he says him and Kathy Kelly, they keep saying that he's in production. He's tied down to other projects right now. Which, hey, I think he's making the final Knives Out movie right now. So I think he said he has maybe, I don't remember when he said this, but he says he has one more project to work on, and then he's going to begin working on his Star Wars movie. So I don't know. My thing right now is I'm excited that Star Wars is coming back to the theater. It's been missed. 2019 was our last film?
It would have been 6 years plus.
Yeah, which I think is good. I'm going to preface that. I think
too long.
I think it's good, but my thing is, I understand the reason why they took the break. Give the fans a break. Bring Star Wars back to the TV format where it works the best. That's the best creative outlet for people like Dave and John.
I
So
would be fine if they just went
yeah,
television forever.
that's kind of my thing though. Now this is purely preference. I prefer Star Wars in the TV format.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because, oh, I think the shows are just infinitely better than the movies. I just like TV over movies. I prefer sitting down for 45 minutes rather than 2.5 hours.
You were never going to replicate the Skywalker saga. You were just
Never.
never
Even,
going to do it
even
again.
and I say this, and I think you mean this at different levels. I think you're not going to replicate any time of the Skywalker saga from the originals to the prequels to the sequels. I mean that in the thought that every single Skywalker saga release was an event. It was an event that the world came around for, no matter how controversial the movie was, no matter how bad the movie was, no matter how good the movie was, no matter how revolutionary the movie was, no matter how evolutionary the movie was, it was always a global event. You'll never
I'll
replicate
never
it.
forget walking into those theaters for 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
I want to tell my stories on the anthology films. As much as I love Rogue One, I did not have a great theater for Rogue One.
Yeah.
When
It's
I went into Solo, there was literally nobody, and it was the opening Thursday.
Mhm. It's one of those things that, you know, and maybe it'll be different for like the Mandoverse movie. I think the Mandoverse movie is probably the only movie where that event status will truly feel like the Skywalker saga again.
Because we got to think of all the players in that movie, and not just that,
Yeah,
the build up to that with the Mandalorian. I mean, the Mandalorian's huge. It's probably,
yeah,
it's one of the, Game of Thrones. That franchise is always going to be big. House of Dragon, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. But the
yeah,
Mandalorian is one of, if not the biggest television show.
yeah.
Um,
And let's not like, I know we've had this discussion at nauseum, but the Mandalorian is viewed by a lot of people on the weekly basis.
mhm.
It's one of those things that maybe you're more well versed in this, but I'd say what the average, I'd say basketball game, what gets it upwards on cable, that 3 million, around that
Uh,
mark.
well, I haven't looked at the NBA playoffs just got over, but an average, like a prime time NBA game, so like a Saturday night in the regular season will attract 2, 3. A
Yeah,
better example, I mean, yeah, a better example would be the NFL. The NFL on a
yeah,
Sunday, like a prime time game, will get 20 plus, and sometimes upwards of 50 million people.
yeah. And so you got to think for a streaming TV show,
Right,
not a cable, not a network
right,
cable television show,
right.
not a any of that. A Disney Plus streaming show. It is reaching what was it? The premiere was was it the season 1 or season 2 premiere was at 2.06 million, and then or
Yeah.
something like that, and then what the rest of the season was 1.4 and
Hmm.
up. So you got to think it's drawing numbers,
Right.
and
And
so
we would agree that the quality wasn't as good in this season.
yeah, and I think that could be for a variety of reasons. I think kind of the big thing is Dave kind of outstretching himself. John is clearly more focused on the Mandalorian than he is the other shows. I
It's
think that
also hard to replicate season 1 and 2. They're both great in their own individual ways. So it was going to
yes,
be difficult to do that.
yeah. I mean, season 1 for the pure just like storytelling, and then
Hmm.
season 2 was the like fan service to perfection.
Yeah, right. And then season 3, we just had super high expectations, but even then
Yeah,
they still
season 3 just
um
season 3 felt just off. Something like it just felt like something was wrong.
right.
Now, granted, that could be because they sidelined the main character,
With
but
the
like,
bait and switch. Yeah, it was a bait and switch. Yeah,
yeah. Which
absolutely.
again, uh, I'm not mad that they bait and switched us. It's just kind of like it felt so like forced.
Oh, I'm mad.
like, and and let me say this, like, I'm not like okay, like I'm not begging for it to happen again, but I was okay with focusing on Bo-Katan. But man, they really wanted you to focus on Bo-Katan and not Din Djarin in that season. Which again, I get because it's clear that they want to show us that Bo-Katan is going to be a big player moving forward. But man, give her own show then. Don't sacrifice Din Djarin and his show for it.
Right.
Because again, and not to go into this Mandalorian debate, where did Mando go in season 3? How did he evolve?
He didn't.
He didn't.
He
Bo did.
regressed.
Bo did.
Yeah.
But
To go back to the Star Wars thing, and this will be my final piece on this. They're not apt to do 2 movies in a year.
mm-mm.
If they do 2 movies in a year, they will both fail, no matter what the films are. And I think I want to just say this. I don't wish for anybody's failure or anything like that. Indiana Jones, we'll see how it does. We'll see how the audience reacts to it. I think Indiana Jones, I have no insider knowledge and I don't care. But Kathleen Kennedy is getting older and she might want to retire. I think she might be done.
Yeah, so with those reports of her stepping down and then those reports getting redacted, I don't know. My thing is, who do you replace her with? I wouldn't want John. I wouldn't want Dave to replace her.
No, because they need to be on the creative side.
I think, like, it's been funny. I don't know if I talked to you about this. Have you seen the Doomcock leaking that George Lucas is going to buy back Star Wars?
Right.
I don't know if I would want George in that position either. I feel like because again, we have to remember what Kathleen Kennedy's job as the president of Lucasfilm is. She is basically the person that is you go to ask to make something.
She also doesn't just control Star Wars; she controls everything under the Lucasfilm umbrella.
Yeah, Indiana Jones, Willow, all that shit, man. And so it's one of those things that, like, it is still funny to me to this day how many people don't understand what her job is. Because I think what's funny is when you tell people that, hey guys, you know she's not the one writing these series, right? So why are you getting mad at her?
Her name in credit.
Yeah. As executive producer, because I remember all the producers that write all the movies. Not because it's crazy, okay? Because you know what? The show says written by. There's in the credits it says
directed by,
produced by, written
showrunner.
Like, dude, oh my god, it's insane. But then you know what's also funny? It's the people who don't understand her job call themselves movie nuts.
I know. Well, the other problem I have with Kathy is like when you have those those idiots who are typically 12 and 13 years old who just like they're just idiots, they're dumb, they're young kids who just say it online, and then you'll have the people who like will genuinely defend her saying, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." But then when they make their points, they also don't like actually defend her. Like when you actually speak to somebody who's like critical of Kathleen Kennedy, and I would consider myself more intellectually honest than these kids, and I am. I'm not trying to be braggadocious, but it's true. If we look at the people she's put in positions, we have to remember there's been stuff leaked to the trades, and there has been stuff that has been announced that has not happened. We had the Game of Thrones guys that were supposed to do stuff that didn't happen. Lord and Miller. We had the Gareth Edwards stuff. We had the Colin Trevorrow stuff. Ryan Johnson, where is that at? Keep going, and when she's terrible with the media because she goes back and forth on things. This is all stuff that we can verify. This is her being bad at what her job actually is.
That is to that point. Kathy sucks PR wise at her job.
Yep.
Because the problem is Kathy makes so many promises and then what has like a 30% ratio of actually
Patty
going through.
Jenkins.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins. And so, Rangers of the New Republic, Lando, a droid story, literally almost everything from that investor call.
Yeah.
Like almost all of that was lies. Well, and I'm not even going to say lies. I'd say fabricated truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so for
We're
me,
talking with Donald Glover very closely now.
yeah.
You said that for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And so
3.
that's my thing right now is if you actually look at it, Star Wars in total has probably had even more announced / leaked than Marvel has.
Mm-hmm.
But what's different is Marvel goes through with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I will say, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you disagree with me. I feel like Star Wars, since The Mandalorian, has had a higher success rate
I
of
agree.
of shows and movie or of shows being, because we haven't got a movie since Mandalorian.
I agree.
Basically, they have a higher success rate of being good, or being okay, like moderate or good, okay to great.
I have. We've obviously talked about. I had qualms with Obi-Wan. I'm not a huge
Yeah.
fan of the Obi-Wan show. The Book of Boba Fett obviously had its problems.
Mm.
And again, as you were talking about it earlier, as much as we love John and Dave, they are not absolved from their own criticisms. I would
Yeah.
say the last 2 things they've written have
Haven't
not
been the
been great.
greatest. Yeah. And I think the big problem with that is you have Dave solely as that head creative guy.
Which worries me
He
sometimes.
is essentially the head writer of Star Wars now. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be surprised if going forward if Dave Filoni is credited for writing for
Right,
everything. I wouldn't be surprised
right.
because the writers of Star Wars have to go through him.
He's at least consulted on everything.
Yeah, exactly. And to a point that is on paper, that's not a lot. All they got to do is basically be like, hey, this is what we're running with. Would this make sense? He can
Right.
make his little tweaks, but the problem is Dave Filoni is the protege of George Lucas. And if
Mhm.
we know anything, like let's be real here. It's been well documented. George Lucas is still to some degree creatively still involved in Star Wars.
Right.
To some degree he is still in the creative business of Star Wars.
Right. His
He
legacy
is.
lives on through Dave. Yeah.
And but not even just that. We have heard we've heard interviews of people saying he's come to set and has straight up said that's not how something works. So they've changed it.
Do you think Dave? I know for a fact Dave straight up probably talks to him about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, you got to think a lot of these creative decisions are probably being influenced by George.
Right.
Now
It's amazing.
let's not forget, George sometimes, especially if you watch a lot of the prequels behind the scenes,
If you're gonna, I know what you get. George is not a good writer. I agree.
but not even that. His screw, he got a lot of loose screws, kind, and so
George is a revolutionary in the technological aspects
yeah,
of film.
but I
He
also
really
yeah,
struggles with writing. I think
I
that's where Dave was so critical with the
and
Clone Wars because Dave
yeah,
was such a good writer.
yes, because what was good was George was able to conceptualize something, and
Mm-hmm.
Dave was able to run with it. And I feel like to a degree, George is still doing that, but George isn't able to do it at the level that he was. So now Dave is having to create stuff,
Right.
and we see it. Let's be real. Let's be real here. Dave had a major success with The Mandalorian. That was his
Right.
first. That was, in my opinion, his first true big test. I think Rebels was another one. That was his little Guardians of the Galaxy meet Star Wars.
Well, Clone Wars season 7, I think,
Yeah,
was huge for him.
yeah. But in my opinion, his first major true test as a creative writer by himself was The Mandalorian. George did not write Din Djarin, but eventually and you can, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like you can feel George's presence in some of the episodes. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. And I think the episode I feel it the most is the Jedi. I can just feel George's fingerprints all over it.
Mhm.
Because, like, let's be real, George created Ahsoka, and it only made sense that Dave probably called George up and said, "Hey, this is like what's going on, and we want you here
Right.
for it." And so my problem now is that, like, we're getting into these points of Star Wars. It's brand new stuff that George has no creation on.
Right.
So, and again, not meaning to be that guy here, but we're feeling some quality dipping when George is or isn't involved.
Right.
I feel whenever I feel George is involved, I feel like the quality is a little higher. But
Mhm.
whenever he's completely absent, let me be 100% real. Do you think George ever showed up to the Obi-Wan Kenobi set? The Book of Boba Fett?
No. I would say no.
But so, and
Would
I
you agree
asked
with
him,
that?
oh yeah. And I don't think he
Because
was,
there's a
and I
there's a feeling, like you were saying, there's a feeling. Like Georgia Star Wars has like a feeling.
mm,
It could be different light in different settings, but there's still the feeling of like George,
yeah.
right? It's George's universe. I feel that way with the Mandalorian season 1 and 2, and I feel like it's a little absent in 3 sometimes.
Yeah. But then I look no further to my biggest proof of George's influence to Dave. Andor. Dave had zero involvement with Andor.
Mhm.
And I argue Andor is probably one of the best things Star Wars has ever had happen to it.
Right, but I
It's
would also
it's fresh. It was a different
yes.
outlook on Star Wars, a complete. Honestly, again, I said this when we were reviewing Andor. You take the Star Wars out of Andor, it's an amazing show regardless.
Mhm. But tonally, I think with Andor, it is so totally different from what Star Wars is that it
Mm-hmm.
loses the Star Wars base, which is kids.
Mm, yeah, and to that though, I think kind of one of the big problems George had was he wanted to appeal too much to kids, which is good. Like, let's be real, Star Wars at the end of the day is a business.
Right.
You and what who are the
George knew
prime?
that.
Yeah,
George loved it.
yeah, and who's going to be the prime audience of this business? Kids. But you gotta, I think what makes Andor so elite in Star Wars, I think Andor, in my honest opinion, I think on a good day is probably in the top 5 of all of Star Wars. Maybe it dips in and out for me, but the thing that makes Andor for me so unique is it feels so deprived of being Star Wars that it feels so much more Star Wars than Star Wars. And I
Right.
don't. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I've gone off the fucking bridge.
No, you're right. You're
But
right.
the freshness that Andor had is because it felt new.
Right.
It felt deprived of George while still respecting the legacy that he created.
Right.
And I feel like, to a point, I feel like the Mandalorian, I feel like when George is brought in, I feel like he tries to kind of go back to what it was. Maybe again, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy.
I think you're absolutely right.
My camera's
I
blurry.
don't even know where we're going with this. It was
I,
just a good conversation, but
I'm there.
um I think in all we were just trying to say that what I wanted to say was when Dave writes something that's good, it's exceptionally good. Umbara, Siege of Mandalore,
Twilight of the Apprentice,
Twilight of the Apprentice, The Jedi.
Jedi
I'm still
Knight.
could I'm still concerned with Dave's directing abilities.
Yeah, I mean, because let's not forget, Dave Filoni is the same man who made the Clone Wars, Rebels, the what is it called? The Gunslinger, and The Jedi. Quality is varying all over those 4
Because
projects.
when he's bad, when there's and again, to be fair, sometimes it's like you're dealing with the D squad. There's not a lot you can do with the D squad. But
And yeah,
when it's bad, it's
bad.
bad.
It's laughably bad.
But
But
it can be great. Like Siege of Mandalore, I haven't watched since it came out because it was that good. It's like one of those things I don't want to touch again.
yeah, and it's just one of those things, man, that every moment feels so fresh in your head whenever you think about it.
Right.
Like, and again, I think, in my opinion, there is the one movie of those 3 movies that I'm the most excited for. It's the movie I'm the most worried about, and it is the Mandoverse movie.
Right.
Kind of one thing I think me and you can both agree on.
I could care less for the other 2. I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm not going to say I couldn't care less. I need more info first to actually care.
The Mangold one, I'm intrigued by. That one, I'm really intrigued by.
I'm intrigued by both, but it's just kind of like no. I'm intrigued by both, but it's just kind of like okay, you're kind of also like you're kind of like that third wheel is the Mandalorian movie, the thing we've all wanted since the Mandalorian came out. So it's like, oh yeah, guys, I can't wait to go watch a movie about Jedi again.
It took us 15 to 20 years to get back Ewan and Hayden.
Yeah.
It took us to get Luke back from 83 to 17. It took us 34 years to get him back. And then Rey is just back in 7 years. There was no, like, to make those characters feel special, there needs to be a gap in time, like a generational gap. And I don't feel that. Right? Because like the kids of those sequel trilogy movies that are obviously going to love them and show them to their kids don't enjoy them, right? That hasn't happened yet. Yeah. By the time they go see Rey in this movie, they'll be into their adult life. And at that point, that's when you become more critical of things. And you're going to be like, oh shit, this is disappointing. Because that they won't be at the point though where they have kids of their own where they can share that magic with them. They're going to be at a point in their life where they're single, most likely. They're going through college, high school, their first job. And they're going to be like, oh, this is not what I remember it as.
Again, I'm kind of at that conflicted point where I'm just like...
Also, she's not going to be a big part of the film, so it's not a big deal, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I kind of... Like, I'm excited that she's coming back, if anything. Because, in my opinion, after The Rise of Skywalker, I wrote Daisy Ridley off from ever touching Star Wars again.
Really?
So I'm thankful that she's coming back because I honestly think the precedent that she sets by coming back so soon is that like, hey, you guys on the internet who like bully people off the internet, like you're not getting your way anymore like that.
I never wrote her coming off. I wrote her off from coming back because I thought she was the one that out of the big 3 was not the best of actors. She's a good fine actress, but she's not out of Boyega and Oscar Isaac, not better than those 2. So I knew she was going to come back for the paycheck.
No.
To me, what would move me? Boyega. That would move. Anything Boyega's in, I'd love. That would move the pendulum for me if Boyega comes back. And I think that would especially be big. Especially if we were talking about this film having more people of color. They want the main character to be a person of color. If Boyega was the Jedi teacher at that point, and you have that master apprentice type of deal. And it's rumored that Idris Elba might be the main villain of this. He might play the main villain of this film. This is coming from My Time to Shine Hello, I believe. I think it was from. So, just, again, these films are far out, but I don't think, I agree with you, in conclusion, Star Wars will release 2 films within the same calendar year. I think we agree on that.
Yeah. Not to squash what you just said, but Bespin Bulletin did follow up saying that Idris Elba was false.
Is it false?
Yeah, I guess. According to Bespin Bulletin.
They said it's like completely false, or they haven't heard anything themselves?
Is reportedly not true.
Okay.
That's what the headline says. Um, I don't know, but I don't know. Honestly, I just saw
Okay.
Bespin Bulls and pop up on my
Yeah,
timeline. So,
it's okay. I know Giant Freaking Robot reported it first, and they're not great. But then I saw My Time to Shine Hello say
yeah,
something about it, and I was like, oh, okay, it might be true then.
yeah,
Um,
and Bespin Poulsen, he when he announced when Disney announced the shifting of release dates, he put out his opinion of what he thinks is going to be the release. He thinks that he thinks the 2026 May movie will be the Rey Jedi Order movie.
mm-hmm.
He thinks that the December 2026 movie will be the Mandalorian crossover event. And then he thinks the 2027 movie will be Taika Waititi or James Mangold's movie.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
And so, I don't know. I don't know, man.
We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah,
Um,
it's insanity right now, man. We are at a weird time where it feels like we're just getting so much content.
yeah, a lot of content, man.
But I also feel like with this content, I mean, this has been a thing. Like, I don't know if you felt this, but like since Guardians, I have like not wanted to go to the movie theaters anymore.
Well, okay. I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, and I got to. So that's why I
Mhm.
didn't go see Across the Spider-Verse. The Flash, I just don't care. I don't want to support Ezra Miller, and I don't care about DC until I actually have to care.
Yeah, until Superman, basically.
So that's the reason I didn't see those. The next time I really go to the theater, I want to see Oppenheimer. I don't want to see Barbie. And then the Marvels in November. Really don't want to go see that, but I will.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, man. That like, look, I'm a fan that we are getting all of this content. I really am. But man, oh man, it's just making me not want to go to the theater anymore. The problem is, I don't know, how much tickets are at your theater. Tickets at my theater range from like $12 to $17, and having to go do this shit every month is not fun.
Yeah, I think mine are. I think I paid 12, maybe 12. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like, look, I, I know we were all begging for Star Wars and Marvel to be release all this content for us to watch. But man, like, please, if you're gonna release it, please don't release it every month in the theaters.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, could you imagine if that other guy who took over after Iger, I already,
K-Pack. Yeah.
yeah. Could you imagine if he was still in power? We'd get
Oh, I'd be bad.
4 projects a year, or 4 projects a month for Marvel.
Bad.
That's what I'm saying, man. Again, I don't like supporting these uber rich people, but give Iger them flowers, man. He did the thing that no man ever thought we would ever have to say, and that man smacked Kevin Feige on the hand and said, "Bad,
Right.
bad. Next smack comes to your face. Fix yourself. Fix your problems, young man."
Right. Do we have anything else we want to discuss?
Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws.
I
Star
didn't
Wars
see the
Outlaws.
gameplay. I didn't see the gameplay trailer. Again, I don't really play video games. I did see like the original trailer. Yeah, sorry. Um, so I won't say too much on it. I will say it looked fantastic. It looks really intriguing. To do a game following a bounty hunter or playing as a bounty hunter, a lot more interested. Uh, I think Star Wars is better when we're not always dealing with the Jedi and the Sith. We're playing with that middle ground type of thing. Really excited about that. It's in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It seems like maybe the Han Solo Frozen and Carbonite thing plays into this.
I think
Maybe.
my speculation for the game is it'll take place during the War of the Bounty Hunters event that's going on in the comics, or it will follow Crimson Reign. And if it follows either of those, I'm okay with it because both are phenomenal comic arcs.
Right.
And yeah, and it's a unique time period, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good time period.
It's in the original trilogy, but it's not after A New Hope, and it's not after Return of the Jedi. It's not before A New Hope. It's during that small 1 year gap of Empire and Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Really strange time, but
it's like a really weird gap that like a lot of stuff kind of does happen because isn't that like the same year that like Palpatine and Vader kind of have that fight on Exegol?
Yeah, so it to quickly sum up, Vader and Palpatine fight on Exegol. Luke Luke gets his new lightsaber. The War of the Bounty Hunters event is going on around this time. Crimson Reign is going on at this time, which is basically Crimson Dawn waging war on the Empire. The Syndicate world is just in utter chaos.
Well, Kira fights Vader too, right?
Yeah. Basically. And then what's it called? The rebellion is in shambles right now because of Hoth and Han being captured and all that. So the galaxy is at a really, really lull point. And also, let's not forget the second Death Star is in the midst of its construction. So it's like we are all over the place right now. And then you add in Star Wars Outlaws, and it's a game that I have been begging for, but we couldn't get it in the last 10 years because EA held the exclusive game rights, which, oh my God, I could already tell after the first Star Wars Battlefront release, Disney was like, oh, we fucked up with that move. Because the reports of this Ubisoft game, I think we started coming out in like 2020?
2021, yeah.
Something like that. And it was literally, so to give a little frame of reference, so 2012, Disney buys the rights to Star Wars. 2013, EA signs an exclusive 10-year deal with Lucasfilm that they have the exclusive game rights to Star Wars unless Disney overrides it or.
And they made what, like 4 games?
They made Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Battlefront, Battlefront 2, Squadrons, Fallen Order, and Survivor.
6.
So of those
5 console games.
Yes, 5 console, 1 mobile. Now, granted, let's be real here. All of those games were successes, financially at least. Galaxy of Heroes has amassed over $1 billion for EA.
Wow.
Battlefront 1 and 2, I think, combined have made maybe, I think, a little less than $1 billion. That might be too much. But even then, they've made a lot of money. Squadrons wasn't a huge success, but it was also a really niche game for a niche audience. So, and then Fallen Order and Survivor were absolute successes.
Right.
So, some of the most successful single-player Star Wars games of all time. But yeah, so the rumor of that coming up was pretty big for Ubisoft to make this game. And then what was crazy is so EA lost the rights last month. Disney and EA came to terms of not re-signing a contract. EA is still allowed to make games, but they're not the exclusive holder anymore. And dude, literally as soon as people realized that EA only had 1 year, it was literally reported 9 games were in development secretly. Because Disney finally realized, bro, these fuckers at EA can't make games efficiently enough. And if they do, they're either highly controversial, like Battlefront 2 is, in my opinion, it's in the top 2 most controversial game releases of all time.
Well, didn't the game get good after?
The game got great. But the problem was they made no money from it. They were doing all of it for free. So EA was like, no, go make Battlefield. And then Battlefield released like shit. And then
Really?
it's a repeat cycle for EA and DICE. The problem is DICE takes a little bit of time to get their game rolling, and then EA cuts them, like pulls the rug right out from underneath them. As soon as the game gets really good, EA's like, go make something else now. And so that's why Outlaws is such a big deal. Is this shit got announced a month after EA lost the rights.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't intended to be like that, but that, in my opinion, is the biggest middle finger to EA I think a company has ever given them, because the timing could not have been more immaculate. No, actually, it could have. It could have been the day of them losing the rights. That would have been that would have been an ultra play move right there. But I'm excited. Star Wars Outlaws. It's a concept fans have wanted forever. It's an open world, not connected to the Jedi or the Sith, so we know of.
Right.
All I'm saying is we have been promised this super unique experience. I remember the big campaign for Battlefront 2 was it's the first ever major Star Wars story that you play from the perspective of the Empire. And then the characters turned and joined the rebellion like an hour into the story.
Right.
Bait and switch at its finest.
Right. I also the Super Commando sidekick, that's really cool. I just think it looks really good. The it feels like Star Wars. Again, I saw something about people were complaining it was a female protagonist. Maybe I don't know why.
It's such a. The complaint was there were two complaints. One was valid. One was completely invalid. The thing is that fans wanted an open world game that we could make our own character. That is valid. That's something that I was hoping for. But then the other half was saying, "Ew, females. We already have enough of those. Why could it not be someone else?"
So my thing with the open world and like making your own character is they it's so hard for them because everything they make is canon, right?
That's why, listen, I'm going to give everybody a nice pat on the back, and I'm going to give you a nice reality check. That won't happen under Disney's watch. Why? Because Star Wars has all canon events. There you go. It'll never happen. If it ever does happen, the game's not canon. Sorry, but that's the truth. Now we're going to get customizable things.
Right.
We're not going to get 100% cosmetic or 100% game-changing customization like that.
Now, do you want them to do that eventually?
Sure. I mean, why not? It's a thing that everybody, like all the fans want, but we all just have to come to terms it's not going to be canon.
Because
like
my thing... Oh,
like
go ahead, finish.
Like, we're getting the Knights of the Old Republic remake. That is a prime example. That's you're creating your own character and all that. Or even then, play the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO. That is literally you pick your class, you pick your backstory, and then you make your own story out of it.
Right. My thing is with video games, it's so hard even to do it as canon itself, right? Because it's just because like a video game, the thing is you're supposed to make your own decisions and stuff. Like you're supposed to choose your own pathways, and it's kind of like it kind of narrows the scope of what you can do. And EA does a terrible job with Madden, and they do a terrible job with the sports games in itself. But maybe to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here, and I'm not too sure, not too privy to the conversations they have. Maybe they felt strongholded or they felt limited in what they could do. I don't know how like barren Lucasfilm is, and like we need this.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like Jedi Survivor gave us a lot of customization.
Right.
The thing is like, and we're kind of getting this with Outlaws. It's a game where you make your own decisions. You can, like, one of the things they showed is that you can try to bribe an Imperial officer or you can try not to bribe them.
Right.
But the thing is that, in my opinion, when you make these games where it's choose your own, you have to like come to the exception or come to the realization there is going to be a canon timeline of events.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have to follow it, but you have to understand that the decision you made is not real. Unless
It's
you
just not going to impact. Yeah, I get
yeah,
what you're
it's
saying.
like it's not going to impact the Star Wars universe. But if you choose what the actual story is, now that will. But I think to a point, like, if they wanted to do it, I think it would be cool. I'm not gonna never say it wouldn't. I'm not gonna say it would never be cool, but
Right.
I'm sorry. I gotta be the realism. I gotta be the realist here. It's
Right.
never gonna happen.
Yes.
It financially wouldn't make sense because if you're gonna spend 2 to 3 years on development just for your game to not be in the canon, there's no point. There's no
Right.
point. And plus, it's been proven that the first true Legends content that like major content that has been released by Disney has been Visions.
Mm-hmm.
And that came 10 years after they got the rights to Star Wars.
Right.
So let's take it where we get it, but let's not over expect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. The game or the just the trailer footage I saw, the 2-minute trailer I saw was good. I heard the gameplay footage was okay, was pretty good. They got some things to touch up on, I heard, but the game's
Yeah.
not coming out until next year. So,
Yeah, and to be that guy, if you really want me to, they said 2024. The game looked pretty polished. If I'm gonna be devil's advocate, or not devil's advocate, what am I saying? What am I? I'm an idiot.
critical.
Yeah, if I'm gonna use my critical thinking skills, EA, or if we're following the EA precedent, they like to release their games in May or November. I would expect May 3rd, May 10th, May 17th, May 24th, or May 31st release date.
Really? So you're thinking of under a year?
Yes. All of those dates fall under are all on a Friday, and it would just kind of make sense. If I'm anything, I'm thinking leaning more towards the 3rd or the 31st. The 3rd, of course, being the day before May 4th, and the 31st being the last day of the month.
Yeah.
So, or if sometimes I think we got a game released in March, you could expect the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, or the 29th.
Right.
So there you go.
Right
I doubt we get a November release. That would mean the game would be in development for like 4 years.
Right.
So I doubt that. But yeah. And also again, like, come on now. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Hold up. I mean, come on. Who in their right mind would not want to play with this guy?
Right.
Look at him. He is like pimp central.
He's him.
He is the definition of him. Like, he got that dog in him.
Yeah.
Such a cool design, by the way. And I love how it was the moment that this guy got revealed, everybody turned him into their favorite droid.
I was just like, oh, okay, damn.
Like, look at him.
He might be my favorite Super Commando of all time. I mean, they were always like in the Clone Wars. Like, I'm like, damn, that droid's dope right there.
I mean, yeah. Hold on. Let me look at that. Like, that's a good 3 cast. You play as her, Kay Vess, and then here you get your little animal friend that you can like command to do things, and then you get the droid. And also there was
There was a guy who kind of plays the Han Solo type of deal, right? Is that what you're referring to? Or I'll get it off the screen real quick. Yeah, I think that guy is gonna betray them, obviously, but
like, hold on, let me just drag this.
I have a question. Do you think
this guy, I mean, come on now. If you're trying to tell me this ain't Kyle Katarn, you're full of yourself.
You think so?
Oh, look at the design. The band on the arm, the beige shirt with the shoulder pauldron.
You think this is how they bring Kyle Katarn into canon?
Oh yeah, and look at the face. It's his face, just with a different beard.
I think it's a totally different character. I don't want to be that guy. I think it's a totally different character.
I said this, and this is my speculation. This is my early game speculation, okay? My speculation is that this guy, I think they said his name was, oh god, they said his name in the trailer. I think it's going to be revealed that he's a secret Imperial agent, and then by the end of the game, he reveals his name is actually Kyle Katarn, and we find out he's Force sensitive, and he goes out looking to explore how to use the Force. And then you know what? To be even bolder, he'll be in the Mando crossover. Boom. And guess what? You want to know what else was going on in that Bespin Bulletin report? That Mara Jade was potentially coming to live action.
Right.
Boom. That's what I'm saying, man. You know what? I said all those theories, and I didn't even have my tinfoil hat on. It was on in spirit.
On in spirit. I'm excited. I hope these characters, again, like a type of thing where we keep speculating on when Cal Kestis will appear in live action or another medium. I really hope we get that type of deal with this. I really hope we get some connections, right? We see Han Solo. Really hope there's something with that, maybe, because we know Han Solo's carbonite gets thrown around a little bit because Boba Fett loses it, and then...
Dude, poor Boba Fett, man. He loses Han Solo.
Like within a day.
And then almost dies in the Sarlacc pit a year later. That's what I'm saying, man. Disney is really good at making us feel so bad for their villains. Like, again, poor Darth Vader. This man almost fights to the death with Seer Junda and then has to go almost die to Obi-Wan. Like, within like a few months of each other. If I'm a Star Wars villain, bro, I'm the most concerned about, oh my god, what's going to happen within the next like few months.
Bro, imagine like you lose like the bounty and like this guy Boba like doesn't he have to like paint his armor black and like fight a giant creature, and then
some shit like that.
And then he's just going around, continues to lose him, finally brings him to Jabba, and then probably within like he's probably like has Han for like a whole year basically, finally gets him back, and then within a month he's just it falls into a mouth of a giant creature.
Bad time to be villains in Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite tropes about Star Wars is if you're a villain, you're either gonna be really badass or you're gonna be really bad. See,
well, look at Maul.
Look, all I'm saying is this, okay?
Maul has it the worst. It's not even close.
No, yeah. Maul, in my opinion, if you know how there's always those people that debate who suffered more between these Maul. The answer is always Maul.
This dude just lived the most torturous life ever, bro.
Let's not forget he's taken from his mother at a young age, trained to be a maniacal Sith Lord, kills a Jedi for the first time in like what 1,000 years or whatever, 10,000 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kills Qui-Gon Jinn, and then is cut in half for 11, 12 years.
Yep.
And then he finds out that he has a brother, tries to take over the galaxy
before that, he is literally insane.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's a
spider.
He's literally insane who has a snake as his friend.
Yes. And then when he finds out that he has a brother, he tries to take over the galaxy through the crime lords. And when he finally takes over a major power with Mandalore, half of the population turns on him. And then the Siege of Mandalore happens. Oh, amidst all that, also, his master found out that he survived and killed his brother and then tortured him.
Just tortured him. Then he gets captured.
Yeah.
Escapes that shit. Then somehow captures Dooku and Grievous.
Yeah.
Has a chance to kill all three of them, and he doesn't.
And he doesn't. And as a result, his mother gets murdered in front of him. And then on top of that, he creates the Siege of Mandalore, fails his mission of luring Anakin in and loses to Ahsoka, and then
is not killed. Is not killed. Ahsoka's terrible. Ahsoka's an awful person.
Ahsoka does not give him a weapon to defend himself. Her thing is literally go do something. Go literally do anything. Just make sure you die on your way out. Like that's it. And then this man is forced into exile for years. And then he somehow gets stranded on Malachor. And then just as soon as he thinks he's got all the power back, he finally finds out where the rival, the man who he has dedicated years of his life to killing, finds him, finally gets to confront him, and dies in 3 swings.
Well, before that, he's the leader, again, of a crime syndicate.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow loses that. We don't know how yet.
Yep.
You know what'd be funny? He got his ass whipped by Vader. That would be funny.
Yep. That'd be great.
He just finally finds Vader, and that's why he's so scared of him. He's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. That dude. Maul just has
loses to a blind dude. He loses to a blind dude. He loses to a blind dude. He loses to a blind dude who was just blinded.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Who's like an average. Let's be honest. Kanan, love him. Average at best Jedi, but then him blinded. That's crazy.
Beats a Sith Lord, bro. It's crazy. Now, yes, Vader suffered and was tortured by his suit every day, and kind of had to live with the trauma of murdering his wife and kid and a bunch of other kids, and was tortured by Palpatine a lot.
Right.
But I'd rather go through all that than lose to a blind guy.
Then lose to an old man. An old man
who hasn't fought anybody in 4 years since he fought Vader. And even then,
and he's aged a lot in those 4 years because he did not look like that.
It's the Tatooine spa, man. He went there and
3 moves, like not even complicated moves. Block, swipe.
That's it.
And he's just like,
and let's not even forget. It was made kid friendly for Rebels. But if we were to in actuality break down what would have happened in that scene if it was live action, Obi-Wan cut through his lightsaber that cuts through his face and through his chest. And then let's say there's a chance he survived that. Then Obi-Wan cremates him.
Buried in the sand.
He's then buried and then lit on fire.
You know what'd be funny if in like the Rise of Skywalker we see like a 100-year-old Darth Maul still trying to crawl his way.
Yeah, we meet Rey in the new Jedi Order movie, and it's there's a post-credit scene, right? And it's Rey. She's gone Tatooine. She needs to for some reason dig up the Skywalker sabers. And all of a sudden we just hear some crawling in the sand. He's like, Kenobi.
And it's like an 130-year-old Darth Maul.
He's just crawling. Are you there? I'm here to fight you.
And he's a spider person again.
Yeah. I can see you. That's what it's going to be like.
He's literally just bones at this point.
Yes. Darth Maul, the villain who just can't die. He's the true Darth Scion of canon. He just he never can die. He'll only endure the worst pain imaginable.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor guy. Oh man. Fucking Star Wars, man.
I think that's gonna do it for today's show.
I don't think I have anything else.
That was a really great show. 2 hours. We'll be back next week. We'll actually review a show.
Finally.
We'll be back next week at some point for episode number 96, where we will preview, or not preview, Jesus, review episode 1 of
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. Until then, may the Force be with you, and may you stay burdened with glorious purpose. We will see you next time. Peace out, everyone.
Don't be a villain in Star Wars.